guys, and welcome to another WFM Tipsy Thursdays. I am your show host, Anita Dei, the contact center whisperer, the CEO and founder of Solid Rock Consulting. And this week we are talking about what is schedule adherence. And we have none other than the amazing Napoleon. Napoleon, thank you so much for joining me all the way over from BC, the British Columbia, right?
Right. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, I've been waiting to get this interview, okay? I've been waiting to get this interview for some time. So let's hop right in. Before we hop into talking about schedule adherence, tell me, when did you first fall in love with workforce management? I'm always interested in that journey.
That's an interesting question. In some ways, I'm still falling in love with it, to be quite honest, just because it's always different. But it'd have to be in the early 2000s. I got a project that I didn't think I could handle, and kudos to my CFO. I was at IKEA at the time. She gave me a payroll optimizing project, and I exactly we were the problem was trying to optimize the labor dollars and figure out how we schedule here in Canada, IKEA Canada. And she trusted me with a very big project, enterprise wide, and we implemented a timekeeping, a scheduling system, and on time, on budget. And for me, that was the moment it clicked where workforce management sort of belongs in an enterprise and how it impacts the bottom line coming from finance and economics. And I was hooked ever since.
I love it. I love it. I love to hear these stories because everyone that I see that's passionate about workforce management in some kind of way or another has found it through non-traditional means, right? Like, it's not like you and I were recently talking about this, not like you go to school for workforce management. So generally people are like, oh, I was doing this and I discovered workforce management, or workforce management discovered me rather. And so always interested in those stories. Okay, so for the people, let's hop right into this conversation. In your own words, what is schedule adherence?
Schedule adherence. So this is an interesting one. So schedule adherence, I would say, if I had a shift, I'm just going to give an example. I work from 9 to 5, so I have 8 hours scheduled, and I had so that's my shift. I work from 9 to 5, but I actually come in and work between 9:30 and 5:30, right? The time that my actual shift overlaps the schedule is the extent to which we adhere to the schedule. That is a percentage, right? So, in this case, 9 hours I was scheduled. I actually worked half hour sort of overlap. So 8.5 hours would be the adherence to my 9 hour schedule. You do that as a percentage and you figure out, what percentage was my shift time, my actual shift time, compared to my schedule time. So that's in a nutshell what adherence is. The extent to which my worked hours align or overlap with the scheduled hours.
I love it.
I mean, yeah, and over the years, you get other metrics in there, conformance, etc., and it starts to get a little, shifty and confusing. But and we can talk about other relative matrices if you want, but that's really what adherence is. Conformance is the closest one maybe, and that's maybe practical to our ops people out there. And conformance is really the total number of hours I was scheduled compared to my actual shift total hours. So in my example, I was scheduled for 9 hours, and I worked for 9 hours. So I'm fully in compliance. So if you make that as a percentage, that's 100%. So that shift was 100% conformed compared to my adherence where I was off by half hour. So I might be in the whatever it is, the 90s, not exactly 100%. So that's the difference in a nutshell.
Yeah, I love that. Hey there, it's Anita Dei here, and I want to personally invite you to book a WFM support call if you're currently transitioning into a new WFM solution, or you're on the market for a new WFM solution. Trying to purchase a new WFM tool can be a daunting task because so many options that are out on the market. Workforce management is our niche. niche skill set. Our superpower is being able to align that niche skill set with your CX, your customer experience, and your employee experience goals. And so I want to talk to you to make sure that while you're transitioning into a new WFM solution or you're purchasing a new WFM solution, it does not impact your customer experience and your employee experience negatively. So if that is you, book a call, and I'm excited to talk to you. See you soon. Bye. Now, give me a myth that you are commonly misunderstood thing when it comes to measuring or working with schedule adherence.
Myth. Another really good question. So when it comes to adherence, especially what I'm seeing with my clients lately, it's not so much more about calculating adherence, more as it is about the impact of missing adherence. So, for example, in 10 states in the US, you have what's known as predictability pay. It goes by many names: equity pay, predictability pay, and it trips them up, and I'm getting questions about this every day. So what happens is that you're mandated, if you have, and by state it differs depending on what state you're in, if you have more than X number of employees, right? So let's say you have more than 60 employees, you are required to give them a schedule in advance. It's called a good faith estimate. So 14 days before the worked schedule, you're supposed to give them a good faith estimate of the schedule. And if you end up changing your schedule compared to that good faith, it triggers an additional premium, and that premium is time and a half or double time compared to relative to when they were supposed to work. And so now there's a financial impact. If you don't schedule or you change someone's schedule last minute, 2 days, 10 days in advance, now there's a financial component. And customers are wondering, how do we, first of all, get a hold of it, get a handle of understanding, I have 10,000, 12,000, 20,000 employees, 150,000 employees in some of the larger retail organizations I work with. How do I get a handle of knowing when are these schedules getting shifted and what's the financial impact, and how do I get a handle of that? So in terms of calculating adherence, I think we've gotten to the point where we know how to calculate it, but the next problem that we're dealing with is how do we get a handle of shifts that change last minute and figuring
That's so good. That leads me into my next and my last question, which is around the tip or strategy then that you could share with us in the audience around managing and working with schedule adherence.
technology really is a real unlock and enabler for us. And when we're trying to solve these types of problems, review. I guess if you look at your workforce management maturity in your organization, do you have the technology to support getting this type of data, collecting it and calculating it, and obviously like driving decisions behind it. So that's the first thing. If you're still in Excel or you're doing things pen and paper, and we get a lot of folks who we're helping out with pen and paper. Shout out to our manual folks out there who are trying to automate. Um, they come to us, we help them out, get the right technology that enable. If you do have the technology and you haven't looked at it in a while, reach out to yourself, to SRC, to us here at Summit WFM. Sorry, my kids.
This
Reach
is
out to us
schedule
at Summit
adherence.
WFM. I know, right? and uh, and
Love it.
and we can review your technology to make sure that it's configured the right way. You are configured to capture those predictability pay scenarios if you're in a state that does have that, and we can help you figure out the processes to optimize and minimize your penalty costs around schedule adherence and missing predictability pay.
Awesome. Awesome. If the people are looking for you, where can they find you, Napoleon?
I'm on LinkedIn. Napoleon Muis on LinkedIn. It's probably the easiest. Our website is summitwfm.com. We help various organizations, retail, healthcare, manufacturing. I haven't come across call centers yet. They're quite a niche beast of their own. But I'm open to supporting call centers too. So feel free to reach out.
Awesome, awesome. How amazing was that? Okay, so first of all, I love that Napoleon, when he talked through schedule adherence versus schedule conformance, that's a that's a whole big conversation, okay? Because it is a common misunderstanding around what that is. And you'll see that a lot of times in organizations where they're measuring conformance and not adherence, and they're trying to understand, well, why are we not making our service levels? And why is this such an impact? Why is this such a big thing that we need to know the difference between? So schedule adherence versus schedule conformance, two different things. Read the blog in its full depth for you to get that, okay? And then I also loved how, from a tip strategy perspective, that Napoleon talked through making sure that you're leveraging your technology to make sure that you're measuring and you're able to have visibility into schedule adherence, schedule conformance, so that you know where where you need to make tweaks. So I hope that this tip was helpful for this Tipsy Thursday. If you have tips or if you have questions, okay, and you want to either be a guest or it's something that we need to be talking about that we're not talking about, y'all already know what to do. Send us an inbox so that we can have a conversation about this, so that we can make sure that we are covering the topics that you want to cover. Until next time, go be great and let's make impact. See you guys soon. Bye.